speak on the item of the York University parking lot. So, Madam Clerk, is the deputant online?
So, through Madam Chair, just before we get to the deputant, just for clarification to members of council. So on Friday, sustainability and asset management, recreation, the parking lot, and the couple items that were deferred today would be our goal to bring those all back on Friday.
Correct. Yeah. Thank you, Joe. Madam Clerk, is the deputant online?
Madam Chair, yes, the deputant is online.
Okay, so maybe you can put him on. So Michael Steiner, is he on?
Michael, I've asked you to unmute your microphone.
And also turn on your camera as well if you're able. Are you able to turn on your camera? Yep, there you go. I see you. Thank you, Michael.
Yes,
so you have 5 minutes. Please go ahead.
Thank you. Honorable Mayor Scarpitti, council members, staff, and residents. I'm speaking with regard to agenda meeting number 4.1. I would like to question why the municipal funds are paying for the university parking lot and not being spent on improvements to Wismer Commons. I've been a resident of Wismer Commons for 15 years. I paid development charges that I was told were to beautify my community. I would like to propose that the City of Markham has failed the residents of Wismer Commons. Wismer Commons has the highest density and population between William Berczy, Greensbrough, and the Cornell communities. And yet Wismer Commons has no beautifying focal point, limited capital infrastructure, and the infrastructure that has been built is documented in city records as economically built. I'm shocked and disgusted to learn and observe that Wismer Commons has been nicknamed "Weeds are common," and that the ravines and paths are provided minimal to zero attention and maintenance. I will speak of a few experiences that I have had and observed over the years. Number one, the pond maintenance in Wismer Commons is nothing short of neglectful and non-existent. I've been in contact with Councillor Karen Ray many times throughout the summer, and I have expressed my deep and profound concerns regarding the quality of the pond behind Edward Jeffreys Avenue and Golden Meadow. This pond has deteriorated to the point that it is completely covered with algae during the summer months of June, July, and August. This algae cover has a strong smell during the summer and collects garbage and debris that blows into it. It is absolutely disgusting to look at. Yet, this pond has a path that the entire community accesses, a path that only receives minimal maintenance in the form of grass cutting, even though the trees and bushes need serious pruning. Regardless of my concerns and comments, the city has maintained that this pond is functioning normally. In fact, one member of council even stated that it is just nature and that no action needs to be taken. If a park or ravine needs attention and maintenance, is it acceptable to simply state that the overgrowth and disrepair of the area is simply nature? I have made countless attempts to provide pictures of comparable ponds in the immediate areas and communities, but the city seems convinced that our pond is in the same condition. I have suggested many options for maintenance, including environmental strategies to manage the algae growth, but the city seems focused on expensive solutions like dredging. Due in 2036, another unacceptable solution. Secondly, the maintenance and management of trees and tree planting in Wismer Commons is horrendous. This community received its first boulevard tree pruning early this year. I've been here 15 years, and this was the first. The city staff stated specifically that this should have been done years ago. The trees are mature now, and many large branches could not be cut. Another issue is the way new trees are planted. The ash borer beetle devastated our community, and large ash trees were replaced by small, underdeveloped trees that did not fit in with the surrounding landscape. This practice applies to other planting situations where very small trees are planted that do not match with the previous planting. Along with this concern comes the general maintenance of grass and weeds. Wismer Commons has many boulevards that, in my opinion, are beyond repair. The weeds have overtaken the grass in the majority of areas. The city provides grass cutting, but this is not enough to control the weed problem. Thirdly, I would like to address the proposed budget for next year. I have stated that I feel funds should be directed to Wismer Commons instead of simply providing funds to the university parking lots. I would also like to point out the projected $1.4 million in funds earmarked for water management and ravine maintenance. These funds are focused on the William Berczy community and areas around Two Good Pond. I question why the city cannot commit to funds to help our ponds in Wismer Commons, yet $1.4 million can be spent on water management and ponds in other areas. Finally, I would like to question the nature of this funding formula and procedure. Aren't there supposed to be public open meetings whereby community members and residents are allowed to express concerns in funding before these funds are directed to different areas? I've made many requests for funds regarding the Edward Jeffreys Golden Meadow Pond, yet absolutely no funds have been provided for our community. Mayor Scarpitti, I have a direct question for you. What are you going to do for Wismer Commons? You have been mayor since 2006, the same year I became a resident of Wismer Commons. Can you honestly say that Wismer Commons has received the same attention and funding as other communities? In listening to my concerns, do you not see that Wismer Commons is in need of funds? That being said, how much funding are you going to provide Wismer Commons in this budget? Thank you.
Madam Chair, I just want to say thanks to Michael for his presentation. And just to ensure you know, community member Lucy's been here over actually the last couple of budget meetings, and I have committed, and will invite you as well. I have committed to meeting Lucy, and I want to review first of all your overall concerns of her generally this notion that we're not treating Wismer Commons the same as other areas. I don't know if you were in the meeting earlier. It's an item that we contend with in other parts of the community, but there was some discussion about weeds in another part of Markham, and the fact is that we, along with many other municipalities, banned the use of pesticides many years ago, and so that's created challenges for municipalities in just one issue in the treatment of weeds and some of the urban landscaping that we have. But I have committed to Lucy, and I apologize. The last couple of weeks have been absolutely brutal. Just the other day, we were in committee from 9 a.m. till 5 o'clock at night, and then we had night meetings, and it doesn't leave a whole lot of time when we have some major issues that we're going through. In addition to these budget meetings that also take up considerable time. I am in the process of setting up a meeting with Lucy Gianmarco, and we'll make sure that you get invited. I am digging up because we actually had this concern a while ago, and I had asked staff back then to begin to respond to some of the issues, and for a variety of reasons, that never got sort of communicated to Lucy. So what I'd like to do is have that meeting, make sure that, and Lucy's done a great job, as you have today, articulating and highlighting where you see some obvious concerns to you and what you think are inequities, and also to respond to some of these issues. And I have in the past to Lucy in these forums, development charges, generally speaking, development charges there's a quite an elaborate study that goes on. We're actually undertaking one now to update our development charges. They through that study plan for amenities like parks, like community centers, like fire halls, and I won't go through the whole list, and determine what that development charge is going to be based on those requirements for the future growth. And yes, you paid development charges, as did other communities, and those funds are used to actually build and fulfill the amenities that were planned for. like a community center, like a fire hall, like a park, like roads, et cetera, and fair to say that some of those facilities land in one part of the community, and others, like parks, are more generally shared equitably, so to speak, throughout the whole community. And so I've taken the time to listen to Lucy. I've taken the time actually to go to watch some of the videos that she has undertaken. And I do want to sit down with her. We'll sit down with you. There's also something that piqued my interest in a previous presentation related to an area that kids are crossing, and there was supposed to have been, and we'll double check, but there was supposed to have been a bridge there to help facilitate the crossing of that creek. We'll look at those issues and make sure that number one, we share information with you as to how development charges are dispersed throughout the whole community. Just because I may live in one part of Markham and I pay development charges through the purchase of my new home, those funds can actually be used to build a community center that might not be located in the area in which I live. And maybe I am a good example. I don't have a community center in my area, but the fact is, it's community centers are built to service a much broader community. But there are elements, obviously, within every neighborhood that are provided for, should be maintained, and that meeting, we again have set money aside in this budget to maintain the storm. Can you still hear me, Madam Chair?
Yeah, I can hear you, but like you're kind of on and off a little bit.
Okay, so I apologize. I just noticed that. So maybe just to wrap up to say, Michael, if you could send me your contact information. It's looking like next week is a pretty good possibility for this meeting, and I want to make sure that you get invited to it. Let's share information. If there are issues that have been unattended, let's decide what priorities there are. If it warrants and can be accommodated in this year's budget, definitely we'll bring that back to budget subcommittee. As I said, the one that piqued my interest was the issue of the bridge. Above everything else, obviously we want our community to be well maintained and looked after. But I've always said, not just this year, but in previous years, safety first. And we have to make sure that the dollars are being allocated to deal with safety of the overall community. So that when I heard that issue being raised by Lucy, it piqued my attention. I want to find out a little bit more about it. So the short answer is, Michael, you'll be invited to the meeting. Let's have the discussion, and depending on the issue,
You froze a little bit again.
The urgency of it, we'll see warrants coming back to budget subcommittee to put items back into this year's budget or the following year's budget, because sometimes, depending on what needs to be done, it can't be done within a given year, because there's sometimes either design or approvals that we have to get, even though we're the city of Markham, we have to get from other agencies. So sometimes people wonder why things take a little bit longer. It's sometimes we don't have the authority to move forward unilaterally with projects that we even support. So if you could do that, Michael, or if the clerk, Madam Chair, already has Michael's contact information, please forward that to me, and I'll make sure that he gets invited to that meeting.
Yeah. So, Madam Clerk, we have Michael's contact information, correct?
Madam Chair, yes, we do have Michael's contact information, and we will provide it to the mayor. Thank you.
Perfect. Yeah, thank you very much. And I believe that Councilor Ray wanted to add to what the mayor has mentioned about funding for the pond.
Yes, thank you. And Michael, I'm not sure if you were here earlier, but I brought up the subject of the storm pond. I've asked staff to put in funds for geese control, so that will be coming back on Friday.
Yeah. Okay. Thank you very much, Councilor Ray. So the next committee meeting will be on Friday.
Madam Chair,
Mr. Mayor.
I'm going to move we
right,
receive Michael's deputation.
Thank you. Thank you. Yeah. And it will count second by Councilor Ray. Yep. All those in favor? Opposed? Is passed. Thank you very much, Mr. Mayor. And so the next meeting will be on Friday, October 22nd at 9 a.m. And with that, can we have a mover and a seconder to adjourn the meeting? Moved by Councilor Usman and second by